What's happening? Did it start? It just started on its own. I guess I have to speak. Chronocosmonomy has a lot of pieces to the puzzle that it is, because when you first encounter it, it's like making a puzzle. You gotta like put it together. All right, so I already gave some lessons in the Neptune-centric part of the puzzle piece. And I had talked about the Keyboa Eclipse cycle, which is spelled K-E-Y-B-O-A, Keyboa. Let me spell it again for the AI and for those that want to write it down. K-E-Y-B-O-A. So that is about a pattern of eclipses that I had discovered, which has never been known before. And what I said previously, the Neptune-centric system, which is the more complex centers, it's multicentric, which doesn't deny, it doesn't completely discard the heliocentric and the geocentric, but it does use those as a foundation to incorporate it into the bigger and more complete understanding of the celestial mechanics, the physics of it, and the astronomy. So you have Neptune as the greater center, and the only other center to speak of, because I'm going to go 2 more layers, 2 more centers of the multicentric model. And we already have a multicentric model, which is dual-centric. And they don't really talk about it like that, because it's sort of like, it's not really well understood how we have a interchangeable system, and we kind of toggle back and forth depending what we need from our frame of reference. So the frame can be geocentric, or when we're talking about the overall model of the system, the solar system, it's heliocentric. So that is multicentric. Just that sometimes when there's 2 things, 2 types or 2 modes, they don't say multi. But I've added 1 more and then a second one. So the Neptune center and the other unknown center, which I've already stated in the cosmology lesson, not a full lesson, but I had mentioned it, there is a white hole. And that's the origin, that's the anchor point of the whole system. So those are 4, and it is very multicentric. And that is not even to speak of or to get into the details, the intricate details of the very nearby astronomical phenomenon that the Earth has with the moon. We haven't even spoken about that. But that's so interesting because we know a lot about it. We've gathered a lot of facts, but there hasn't been a breakthrough understanding until now with the Keyboa eclipse cycles. And sometimes when I do a video, I leave out like the causes. I leave out the completion of the answer, because these are beginner's lessons. And then with the AI analyzing it, when you ask, it has that little button now, the new button, the feature or the function that they are offering to the viewer. Then they'll say, well, he doesn't give any of the causes. He doesn't explain it. So I'm just making a note of that. I'm admitting to that, because these are just introductory. And when they are used in the lesson with the students in the conference and the deeper and more serious discussions, we're just using the video as a starting point. We're going to refer back to it sometimes as we're discussing. And of course, before someone goes into the class, they have the prerequisite of viewing the video and knowing, at least something about the starting point. So that also is the case with this particular video. Almost all the videos on this channel, the YouTube channel, Chronocosmonomy, which used to be called Peter Tasciotti, because that's my name. I'm the scientist. I'm the pioneer in this. So the channel has been named for that because I'm devoting it to it. And if you have the time, if you are analyzing everything on this channel, you're going to find a lot of different things in there. It wasn't always for science like 3 years ago. It wasn't. I just did it because I was coming out with my full name, Tasciotti. It's unique. There's not too many Tasciottis out there in the world, and I haven't used it when I go onto platforms. Of course I use it in my real life, my daily life. It's a legal name, so you know, when I've had employment or I'm with the government or anything like that, then it's going to be used. But what I did for many years was just make a much more easily remembered name. And we don't have to mention that right now because it's being shadow banned anyhow. So, you know, not as if we admit or we are going to theorize that there's any shadow banning. So just forget that. So let's talk for the benefit of the public viewer who takes a casual interest, or for the AI in the platform that's analyzing everything, or for the serious student. What we've said is that there are the two puzzle pieces that have already been released, and we're going to get into another puzzle piece, and then we're going to announce one, which will be a standalone video because it's such an unusual thing that is going on currently, and that is the object that is coming through the solar system currently, and it has been named 3I Atlas. Okay, so that's the number 3, the numeral 3, the letter I, and then the word Atlas, based on how it was discovered with which telescope, which observatory had first found it and identified it, recognized it as an object. So 3I Atlas has a lot of publicity right now. People are talking about it. People are asking a lot of questions. This will be something that I'm going to get into. Not in this video, though. So it's just look for that in the future. So subscribe and you're going to find out. But I did want to mention one other puzzle piece, if this video is going to be with 3 points that are being laid out, and that's going to be the relationship between Uranus and Neptune. Okay, so it's a very interesting relationship, and when the novice who's not doing research, who's not doing any advanced thinking, just a glance at the solar system showing the planets in their spatial order, not chronological, but as far as how much distance they are from the Earth and the Sun. And you have, after Mars, you have Jupiter. Then going quite a bit farther, almost like doubling that, you have, and there's a ratio also. There's ratios to the distance, and then also ratios to the cycle of the motion, which is orbital resonance. Just remember that one, because that is a subject of study, very, very fine-tuned and very detailed. Orbital resonance is what they call it. Chronocosmonomy is well aware of orbital resonance. So we have, after Saturn, Uranus. And Uranus is approximately 20 astronomical units distance from the sun and the earth. Whereas Saturn is about 10 astronomical units. So that's twice as much. That's quite a difference there. That ratio, to understand that mathematically and the structure that's going on. But then from Uranus to the next one is going to be Neptune. And Neptune is at a distance pretty much steady. Like, it is the most steady. For being that far out there, or that far away, or turn it the other way, the way I really ask you to think about it from a Neptune-centric point of view or frame of reference, the sun is so far distant. How can the sun be so far distant and maintain the same distance away? Because it doesn't maintain the same distance to any of the other planets. That's really interesting. Why would all of the other ones closer to the sun, they all have a variation, and especially with Uranus and then Pluto, which is beyond the farther distance, although it can be closer than Neptune. So then you have to ask, wait a second, is there such a thing as beyond Neptune? What does that mean? Because if it's Neptune-centric and Neptune is the middle, that would tell you that Pluto can be farther, but it can be closer. Because it's actually, see, this is very way advanced, so I just happened to mention it. We're not going to explain it right now, but we are going to explain further that the relationship between Uranus and Neptune is a very important study and a two-body problem that has to be understood in relation. It's all to be compared with the Earth, Moon, Sun cycle. Because, as I said, the Uranus with Neptune is also in relation to the Sun, or the nucleus. Remember what I said in the previous video, the nucleus of the system. So that's a three-body problem. But within the nucleus itself is the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. That's a three-body problem. Although you've got to factor in the other three planets that are there. So you've got those big three that are forming eclipses. That's the Keyboa Eclipse cycle. And then you've got the other three planets that are interplaying with all that. And I'm bringing up really huge advanced concepts, but just to really summarize it at the conclusion of this lesson, the three-body problem of Uranus with Neptune in relation to the Sun is comparative. Like, they have the same cycle. So you really need to ponder on that very, very deep and carefully, because these are super significant. All these puzzle pieces go together and everything adds up. And that's how I had discovered what's really going on. That's how I had to overhaul literally everything. I don't even speak of the things that they have been dwelling on for more than 100 years now, or almost 100 years. Some of the concepts are from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, so it's almost 100 years, not quite. But what they have done, and also with quantum mechanics, which we wouldn't even touch right now, the subatomic and all that. But just as far as at the scale, the macro scale of the astronomy, we are not needing to use the whole theory of space-time. Space-time is not. not really accurate. When you start to just put that out of your mind so you can study what Chronocosmonomy is presenting, what it's offering, and to get initiated into that. And you will then go back and re-examine that stuff with relativity and say, it's obviously they didn't understand something when they were going through it all that with major details and equations, but they didn't really have a grasp on what was really going on. Now we have to backtrack all the way to Sir Isaac Newton and really to resurrect a lot of the things that were in there that were ignored, like absolute space and absolute time and other such concepts that were kind of thrown out the baby with the bathwater. So that's a whole other can of worms, to use a phrase, a whole other can of wormholes, worm tunnels. And I've said enough on this one. Thanks for listening. And the lessons will keep coming, and the school will keep expanding with more and more students. And this is the revolution of our generation. This is the quintessential revolution. And I'm glad to be part of it with you. Let's join up together and make it happen.